Hello everyone, I'm Nina, a photographer who animates her photos like this. Back in the day, I used to draw a lot, so I decided to try to animate them. Maybe that can get me back to drawing again. This is going to be a beginner-friendly tutorial and process, although you might need something like Photoshop and a good video editor to be able to make this. But the technique itself is quite easy to understand, and with some critical thinking skills and problem-solving skills, you will be able to adjust it to your own art style and also be able to edit it with your phone. If you are a digital artist, this will be much easier for you because you are most likely already working with layers and you will be able to import those layers into a video editor. But as my drawings are on paper with ink and markers, I have to cut out these layers myself. I picked these 3 drawings and I will use Photoshop and Premiere Pro. I opened the first drawing in Photoshop. You can see marker lines which are going to make the animation harder, so I'm going to remove them. I go to Filter, Camera Raw Filter, and decrease shadows and blacks until it becomes one solid black color. Then I'll go zoom in and clean up the image with Healing Brush as we have a few black and white dots on the drawing. The cleanup is done now. I'll start cutting out the details, but before that, I'll copy the main layer so I keep the original photo untouched in case I need to undo some big changes. So now I can work on the copied layer. I want to cut out this white frame. I take Magic Wand tool and click the frame and it's selected easily. I click Ctrl+J and copy it on the top. I also made solid black color layer and put it in the background. Now I will select and cut out these. Let's call them root mountains. There are 3 of them and I'll cut them out separately. I will use lasso tool and follow their shape and copy each one as a layer by clicking Ctrl+J. I toggle the visibility of underlying layer and here you can see the roots that I cut out. First one, second one and third one. First one is in the front, so I have it on top of other 2 layers. Second one goes in the middle and the third one goes in the background. Now we can cut out the eyes. I select them using Magic Wand and Lasso tool and copy them. I rename them. Now for the eyes. The top eye doesn't interfere with anything, so I'm leaving it as it is. Middle eye is missing a bit on the left, and as the roots will be moving, it might be very visible that something is missing. So I select a small part on the right, copy it, click Ctrl+T, right-click the mouse and select horizontal flip. Then I move it to the left side and with transform tools I try my best to align it as it's not fully symmetrical. I had to cut a bit more, erase a few things, but you get the idea. I'm going to do the exact same thing on the bottom eye too. I have roots and eyes selected, which we can keyframe and animate, but we can make it even more interesting by adding more details to move. For example, the eye pupils. On the bottom eye, I can easily select the pupil with Magic Wand tool. I select and copy it. But if I move it, you can see the original pupil. You can either cut it out, or in this case, it's just easier to grab a bucket tool, select white color and fill the pupil with it. And we're done. On the other eyes, it's a bit different. On the middle one, I selected the pupil and I won't remove original as I'm simply going to grow the pupil so it won't be visible. On the top, I do the same. And I also select the light reflection and put it on top. I have everything I need now, but you could select so many details on this drawing. Like you can move anything you wish. But of course that requires lots of time and also a better computer, so I'll stop here. So here we have all these layers, black background, white frame, which is our foreground, got the roots and the eyes. On this drawing I did the same exact things. I used Magic Wand or Lasso tools to cut out the layers that I wanted to animate. Here are hands selected separately. and the inside and outside parts of the circle. But here I also want to play with the light, as the center here looks like it emits some light, which means if it flickers, the hands should also flicker a bit. For that I added a darker version of the hands. Now let's make the centerpiece glow. We can actually do it here in Photoshop or in Premiere Pro. The steps are very similar. I select this inside layer, copy it, go to blending mode and select screen. This mode makes the highlights pop out more and gets rid of darker tones. Then I go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and I select the intensity that I like. Then I go to the layer opacity and lower it. Now we have a glowing center, and that's how you can add glow to any image. For this one, my god, I had to redraw so many things. I didn't really record it because it was the same exact process of copying and pasting things till it looks good and just drawing here and there to fix a few places. So I have the idea to move this part that's connecting from the third eye on forehead to the eyeball. It's like she's receiving or giving her power or knowledge from the eyeball. I also cut out this part of the dress and I will try moving it too. I also have these eye lines separated as I want to spin them. Now, as I showed you my process, you can understand how I usually prepare my photos. It's just cutting out things, copying, pasting, and transforming. And one thing to pay attention to is what to put in the foreground and background so they work well together. The rest is all about the keyframes, and ideally in After Effects. But I'm scared of After Effects. Plus, my computer isn't good yet to handle heavier programs. So I'm using Premiere Pro with some limitations, but I can still get a good enough result. I have imported the drawings into Premiere Pro, and I arrange the layers on top of each other just like they were in Photoshop. What needs to be in foreground is on top, and background is in the bottom. If you see me moving these layers around, don't mind it. It's because my computer is a bit laggy. So I work one by one and assemble it slowly. Throughout this animation, I will be using only a few main tools and effects. I will be working in Effect Controls panel. I will be using motion keyframes and opacity keyframes. And when I add the additional effects, they will pop out at the bottom. So let's start with this drawing. First, I want to animate the root mountains. I want to smoothly wiggle them around like in the wind. For that, I go to Effects and search Turbulent Displace. Let me quickly demonstrate what it does. It's basically a wiggle-like effect, a distortion effect. You can use it on texts and even make glitchy effects. Here we have the amount of the effect. We have different types for distortion as well, but I'm keeping it on turbulent. Size of the effect. Complexity. The higher it is, the more subject is distorted. Evolution. Here we can control the speed of the effect's movement. At 0 it's not moving at all. The higher the number, the more chaotic the movement gets. My goal is now to find what I like. So this means I don't really have any specific numbers beforehand. I just play around with what I like. I try different sizes, numbers, and I stop where I liked it the most. So I picked these numbers. I don't want to keyframe anything here other than the evolution. There is not much to teach here, you just go for what you like. I like this kind of movement, but then as it got distorted, I don't like how it fits in the frame, so I will correct the position of the object in Motion panel. And now I think I like it. So I'm going to copy these distortion settings onto two other root mountains. But I will change a few numbers and speed just a little so they don't move the same exact way. And that's it for the roots. Now let's move on to the eyes. I want the eyes to be rising, so I go to Motion panel and pick two position keyframes. One at the start and one at the end. First keyframe is where the movement starts, and the second keyframe is where the movement stops. Now I want to bring this pupil in here. I can copy-paste the motion settings on here, but now as I add the scaling motion, you can clearly see pupil not being in the right spot. This won't work well, as the anchor point is in the middle of the drawing, so everything is moving towards or around it. The only reason I didn't have to change the anchor point on other objects is because it's only up and down movement, so nothing complicated about it. So I change its anchor point and pick the middle of the pupil. And I will keyframe it, scale it to get larger and smaller. And I will select the fitting keyframes for starting and ending positions, so it follows the eye. Now there is one thing that I don't like. Sometimes the motion is too sharp, like it grows, kind of stops and then gets smaller. To fix that, I select the keyframes, press right button on the mouse and select Continuous Bezier, which smoothens the movement. And that's it. I repeat this on all objects I want to animate, and here it is. Next drawing. Here the same thing. Whatever I want to move, I just add position keyframes. I move the hands up and down a little. I currently use the darker version of the hands, and I will bring in the lighter version later. I also want to spin the circle, so I correct the anchor point like I did on the pupils and add rotation keyframes. Next I'm going to move to the glowing effect. I already have this glow layer I made in Photoshop. I just have to change its blending mode to screen here as well, because layers are imported with normal mode. Then I add the opacity keyframes. As I don't want a consistent flickering, I just put the opacity percentage on random numbers, high and low numbers. Check how it looks and keep it how I like it. Now I have come to the realization that the light isn't bright enough. So of course there are multiple ways to do it, but I simply copy this glow layer on top and to me it looks good. So to add light flickering to the hands, I'm going to put the lighter version on top of darker versions. I'll obviously copy the motion settings. Then I'll copy the opacity keyframes from the glow effect. And they will light up and down the exact same way. I will add some rotation to the center piece as well. Fix the movement of the hands a bit more, and that's it for this one. Here I will start with turbulent displays. I want more complex and thinner animation of this part. So I put the amount and size much lower than on the first drawing when I animated the mountains, and raise complexity number and evolution number to get to the result that I finally like. Then I move to the dress part. Here I try to pick the most natural movement for the dress fabric. Bigger size and slower movement. Next, I spin the lines in the eyes with rotation keyframes. And we're done with this drawing as well. Now the final touches. To make it more dynamic, I like to add zoom in and out. To do this easily in Premiere Pro, I select the layers that I want to apply the same zoom and out motion. Right-click the mouse and nest them. Once it's nested, you can apply any effect to this clip, and it will be applied to all the layers nested in this sequence. I will add scale keyframes to make the zoom effect. One smaller scale and one bigger. I repeat this on other two clips. I nested them separately so I can add different kind of zoom or even rotation motions on each drawing. So that's it. I'm pretty happy with the results. For future, I want to combine my photography and my drawings, and I hope I'll be able to make that soon. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video and you can make something similar too. Let me know in comments what else you would like to see me do. I'm up for challenges. Thank you for watching. Bye.